Welcome to day 2, Breakfast with Bob from the .Tev Challenge Roth, powered by HEP. My name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by Master Spas, SFuels Go Longer, HOKA Let's Fly, Forum Smart Swim Goggles, Zoot Sports, the original triathlon brand, Premium Plus Sports, and our Challenge Athletes Foundation. Our next guest, the main man. He and his family have been putting this event on forever. Mr. Felix Walchshofer joins us. Felix, how are you, my friend?
Good, my friend. Good, my friend.
Rainer, thank you so much.
Dankeschön.
So, sitting in the stadium just a couple of days before the event, how are you feeling?
Now I feel relieved, Bob. Yesterday night at midnight we were standing here. We had the finish line lake here. The firefighters had to come in to pump away the water.
Oh my God.
So it was quite major yesterday night with the huge storms hitting Germany everywhere. We have some delays of athletes because airports got closed and it was pretty severe. But everything got solved yesterday night. Thanks a lot to all our firefighter forces who came out. And I think it also shows the big community here.
Oh.
If, pardon my language, shit hits the fan, everybody's pulling on the same string.
Exactly. Well, what's fun when we were sitting in the stadium here, and I'm looking .Tev and HEP, and so many of these sponsors, when we were back here in 2013 or 14, same sponsors.
Yes.
And what that always says to me is that they're partners. They're not just a sponsor. They're a partner, and they understand. They work with you to grow the sport and grow the event.
Absolutely. Like when I look around, Hoffmann, Frankenbrunnen, they sponsored the event since 1984, our first edition. Right. Never left. So it's great partnerships here, especially also from the partners out of the county, from the community here, and as with the athletes, we try to exceed their expectations. Right. And then you build great partnerships.
So for you grew up, this is part of who you are. You grew up with this. Your dad started the event. Talk a little bit about the family atmosphere and why that's so important for this particular event.
I think we are a small city here in a county that is in the near of the metropolitan region of Nuremberg, but here everyone knows really everybody, and everyone is pulling on the same string, as I said, and we are not the biggest tourism hotspot. Right. There are others in Germany, but 2 weeks in the year, the whole world comes here, and we say the world as a guest. Right. And the county just shines, and everyone here is so much looking forward to all the guests, and the athletes are looking forward to meet this triathlon crazy county, and two amazing groups of people come together, and it all molds into one. So when we were here in 2014 and we were filming We Are Triathletes, and you were a part of that film, and you were honoring your father by doing the race that year. And every time I watch that film, I get a little teary watching that whole segment, because you sort of captured something that was very special to you to race that year. How special was that? Because I remember you talking to people at the aid stations and just getting a feel for their impression of the event while you were racing. It was a very special year for me. It was always the dream to do my own event one time, and it got real in 2014. In the year 2001, when Detlef Kühnel, the first German to do the Ironman in Hawaii and bringing Ironman over here to Roth, decided, okay, for me it's enough. I'm too old. My dad took over. My dad was always involved. He was the announcer of the event, doing the marketing. My mom did the media part of it, and then he had this very severe illness and died. Yes. When I took over, it was the event is breathing still his vision. Right. Because in 2001, no one believed that we could do it without Ironman. We were the first and only event stepping out of Ironman by that time. Yes. And Dad said, we have to focus on our strengths here in the community. And today we see that his vision is very alive, and I'm very, very happy about that.
What's interesting is I was here in 1996, I think, when Lothar Leder became the first person to go under 8 hours. We were doing the ESPN coverage. And to see where the event was then, and you're right, as soon as the Ironman moved to Frankfurt, people are like, well, this event will just go away.
Yeah.
And you're competing against Goliath. You're sort of a little guy competing against Goliath. But when you treat people well,
Absolutely.
when you treat the pros, the money is secondary to feeling like they care.
It's the appreciation that we want to show to the pros, to our age group athletes, to our volunteers, to everyone involved. And then it really works. And I mean, it shows for this year's event, when we opened registration,
Yes.
we had 3,000 spots. It took over under 30 seconds to sell out. And Mika Timing, who's running the
Yes.
application process, said there were 30,000 people trying to
30,000
Yeah.
trying to get into this race.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, I remember when we came over for the first time in 2013, there weren't that many Americans participating. Now,
Yeah, it's in the top 5 now. I'm really, really proud of it. Many Americans are coming over.
yes, they are.
And I hope in the years to come, even more.
So when you look at 2011, Chrissy Wellington setting a time, 8:18:13, which still stands, is the fastest iron distance time in history. And she's coming over here. So there's a good chance that time could go down.
It was so sweet of Chrissy. She contacted us and said, hey, with that field, I'm pretty sure my record is going to go.
Yes.
And I want to be the person handing over the medal
Wow.
to the next person in that line. And I found that so amazing. And
Yes.
we said, Chrissy, it would be such an honor if you come back. And she has come back
Yes.
in between the years when she won here.
Right.
And she retired. And so Chrissy is back to hand over medals.
Yes.
Not only to the pros, she will be here until the big laser show. Jan Frodeno will do the international live stream
Yes.
and then hand over medals to the age groupers. And all our pros come back at 9 o'clock and also hand over medals. So I think for the ones coming late, it's a very, very special thing.
Well, it was fascinating when Chrissy went 8:19 the year before. They were like, well, that'll never be broken.
Absolutely.
And she went exactly 1 minute faster the following year.
She was a legend. She came here 3 times, breaking 3 times the world record. Twice of it, her own. It was amazing.
Well, and also the fact that we have faster shoes, we have faster bikes,
Yeah.
and her time is still the best 12 years later.
Yeah.
That shows what type of athlete she
Absolutely.
is. We were talking to Joe Skipper yesterday. He said, based on watching her ride, he's watched a lot of video, he goes, she would be going close to 8 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing.
It is really amazing. The field, you always have an exceptional field here. This year might be the best field ever, and especially for this year in terms of males and females racing on the same day. Probably definitely the best pro field of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes us really, really proud. And I think what makes Roth so special this year that we stick to the roots of triathlon, where men and women, pro men, pro women, age group athletes, all on the same day, on the same course. And that's unique this year because of the mistake
Nice
of Kona Nice. And so it makes Roth even more special,
When things happen in our sport, they don't happen in a vacuum. It affects other people.
Absolutely.
When you had what happened in Hamburg with the motorcycle and a motorcycle driver passing away and bike crash and all of that, it doesn't just affect that race. When you're putting on your race, you have the police and other people going, okay, how are you going to make sure this doesn't happen here? So you guys, you can't. All the race directors have to work together to make sure that races are safe and that the protocol is safe.
Absolutely. It was really, really horrible what happened in Hamburg, and but it was a long line of I would say mistakes that have been done from Ironman side. And Ironman is the market leader, and they have to shine. They have to serve as a role model, which nowadays they don't anymore. And this is what makes me really, really sad and angry, because the whole ecosystem and the whole community is suffering from it. If you can't trust anymore that courses are safe, for example, that affects all the athletes. And we had the questions here as well. And I took time, 4 hours, and writing an email to WTC to just explain my opinion what is happening at the moment, especially here in Germany. And I wrote it directly to Andrew. He also replied, and was a very nice reply as well. But I really hope that Ironman is overthinking the split Kona Nice for the history of our sport, where we're coming from, I think it's a very, very bad decision, you know.
Yes.
A lot of things, Ironman has now cancelled all the volunteer parties in Germany and the pasta parties to save
Really?
money. Yeah, it's not happening anymore. And
Those
all
the volunteers are the
Heart and soul.
the heartbeat of the events.
Absolutely. And again, it's the market leader doing those decisions. We have
Right.
many races this year in Germany who are cancelled because they don't find enough volunteers. So this is an absolute fatal mistake that is done here, you know. And really, we have to bring Ironman back to the table, into the community, same level, eye level, to speak and yeah, to bring the sport forward again. Because
Right.
if Ironman falls, it is going to
hurts
be
everybody.
bad for the whole community.
Yes. So with you and Hamburg and Frankfurt, you all work together.
Here on a German basis,
Yes.
absolutely. I have a good contact with Olli, who is responsible. We're phoning frequently to split the dates so apart.
Make sure you're not competing with each other.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So this all works, but the structure Ironman is under at the moment. There is so much fear in the system, you know. It's quite hollow. There are not so many people working anymore, and that is a very, very bad situation Ironman is in.
Right.
And there needs to be investments now into the company to just make it again what Ironman was, you know.
Right.
And so many people always say, Felix is against Ironman. This is total BS, pardon my language. I was 16 years when my mom took me to Kona, and it was a flight Nuremberg, Düsseldorf, Chicago, LA, Honolulu, Kona. And it took us 2 days, and for me it was the voyage to the Holy Grail, you know. And I've been to Kona 16 times. It's a very special place for our sport.
Yes.
And it makes me really sad to see that going down at the moment.
When you look at the future of the sport, do you feel confident about the future of where triathlon is going?
I do. I really like that a new player is coming in, PTO.
Yes.
That
Great
helps
things.
the sport, you know.
Yes.
And the more players they are, the better it is, because it pushes us, you know. If there are great races, I have to be even greater to stand
agree.
on the first slot, you know.
Yes.
So I think this is so important for the sport that we have a lot of players involved that the same aim, and PTO is doing a really, really good job there, especially with the pros. And still, you know, the pros are not only going to PTO, they are also here. And
Of course.
for the pros, it's also good. They can pick and choose, and
More
yeah,
options for the pros.
absolutely.
And I
Options is
feel
good.
with Super League, with the
Absolutely.
Olympic format,
Absolutely.
with Clash and Challenge and Ironman and 70.3, there's more options for pros than ever
Absolutely.
before.
Yeah.
with
And
a
also
way to
for
make a
our
living.
age group athletes.
Yes.
They are the heart and soul of our community, and they want great races, they want reliability, and this is what we have to prepare for.
So one of the things I think that makes your race so special, a long distance race with relay. And Rainer, our accordion player, is a perfect example. He did our show here playing accordion 13 and 14, and then he became a swimmer.
Yeah.
And he's done the swim ever since. And he's walked Kilimanjaro, he's done all these different things. People find that the relay is such a great entree.
Absolutely.
And I'm surprised that more long distance people don't have relays.
It's also important for our sponsor. StarTev has 100 people in relay teams. It's one of the biggest IT developers in Germany and
Yes.
Europe. And for example, what they also do, they team up their workforce together with their clients, so they get to know each other as well, you know. And
Through the race.
through the race, out of a sudden,
Creating
they
a
have
bond.
they have a total different bond.
Yes.
And relay is a great way to bring in swimmers,
Right.
cyclists, runners, and ultimately they come to triathlon.
So a number of years ago, you had Challenge Roth was your event.
Yeah.
And then you and ZB, the whole idea of growing the Challenge brand,
Yeah.
Challenge Atlantic City, and then all over Laguna Phuket and Denmark and everything else. And I would see you at Challenge Daytona or at Challenge Laguna Phuket, where it was. But I could tell that it was too much for you. That,
Absolutely.
That it was something that you felt it was important to grow the brand.
Yeah.
And licensing the Challenge name was a great thing.
Yeah.
But it was something where you needed to step back and say, I want to be here at Challenge Roth. I want to focus on my event. Was that a hard decision to make?
At the end, it was an easy decision, Bob. It was right after the death of my father, when a lot of pros told me they are not getting bonuses from their sponsors because it's only Roth. in a wide
It's a one-off
exactly,
event.
It's a one-off event in a wide sea of Ironman events, and there they got bonuses. Here they didn't.
Yes.
And then I said, okay, let's create our own series, and this is how it started.
Right.
And then I built it up, the Challenge family, until we had about 46 events.
You guys were on fire.
Yeah.
Every week a new event.
And for me, it was always the thing I wanted to be at every event, because
Your name.
it is my name, but it's also I wanted to see that the quality that we do here in Roth is everywhere
Right.
In the world. So I was actually living in aircrafts, going back and forth, and also not having the real time anymore for Roth,
Right.
you know. And also I felt that the passion for Roth is going a bit down just because of the sheer work load I had.
Right.
Then Ironman came and bought a lot of races. There were a lot of legal things going on, and it just wore me out, and I went into 2 burnouts. And then I asked myself the question, okay, what is really important to me? And important to me is this event where I grew up, where I have my friends, where, yeah, this is where my heart is. And then I said to Mom and Catherine and CB, I'm backing out. You can have all my percentages free of charge. I want to concentrate.
Focus on my race.
Absolutely. And then Catherine and Mom said, Felix, you're right, and we can't do it without you. So we did the decision to give all our shares to CB, and now CB is still involved, and our colleagues from Challenge Almere Amsterdam jumped in.
Yes.
We have great relations
Yeah.
with Challenge family. I'm really happy about that. But I can breathe now again. I can concentrate. It gave me the time to think new things, to bring all my positivity again in the event. And I'm a really happy person now. I love my event.
I can see
love
it.
the people here that work with me,
Yeah.
and 7,500 volunteers, you know, who are all standing behind this event. I'm really happy now, and it was definitely the right decision.
Definitely the right decision. But at the same time, you got exactly what you wanted. Now there are bonuses for people winning the Challenge Series and all of that.
Yeah.
And so you were able to, the hard times you went through,
Yeah.
there was something positive that came from that.
Absolutely, and I'm also proud. With 36 years, I developed a company that was working globally. I'm very proud of it. You
Yes.
know? And then I just said, wow, cool. With 36 years, I can tick that box.
It's
It's
done.
good. Yeah.
It is good. The athletes are making a living. The athletes
Yeah.
are able to say, "Hey, I'm doing challenge races. I'm getting
Absolutely.
bonuses from my sponsors,"
Yeah.
which is what you wanted to be.
And
able
many
to.
of the athletes now get bigger bonuses here in Roth than anywhere else, and they are comparable with Kona or Nice, you know.
Right.
So, yes, everything right.
I love it. Now, are you still training and racing yourself?
Well, I had quite a bad accident with
Oh,
my
no.
knee, and then I'm still not really back. Running and cycling is okay. Swimming is a bit weird still, but I try to get back. I don't know if I've ever do the event here again, because it's just so much work, also on a psychological
Yes.
basis. It's a great sport, and I try to do as much as I can.
Just seeing, with you mentioned the PTO, just the amount of social media around in our sport, the amount of great video, which is what Ironman was all about, right? Ironman,
Absolutely.
and everybody has had to step up and create
Yeah.
more video. Ironman, yourself,
Yeah.
the folks from PTO. I like that. I think
Yeah.
there's more awareness, and your social numbers are going crazy, right?
When Heiko, who is responsible for PR and social media, told me that last week, not race week, but last week, in comparison to last year,
Yes.
the engagement rate is 400% up. I mean, it says a lot. So there are many people out there. We have a really great show
Yes.
that we are going to show from the beginning to the afternoon when the pro women come in. We have equal cameras, and we try for equal air times
Yes.
for women and men, because I also want to show that there is no need to split the days, you know.
No.
You can also
You can cover both.
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
equality can also happen in this format, you know. And then we'll also show the big laser show and everything live when here in the stadium, and it's 12,000 people screaming and yelling for the last heroes to come in. It's going to be really good.
How many people fit in the stadium?
12,000.
12,000?
Only in the stadium, and then when you like on the
lot,
finish
yeah,
shoot,
yeah.
this is not counted.
Oh my God, this thing is. And what a lot of people don't realize, this stadium isn't here year round.
No. We are on a field. The only thing that is permanently here is the finish gantry. The city asked us to build a permanent finish gantry
Really?
for the tourists, because we have so many tourists coming in who want to do photos.
They do photos in front of your finish line.
Exactly. We have so many athletes who train here all year, come here for the weekend. They want to do photos. So the finish gantry is here always on a grass field.
Yes.
And then it takes us 2 weeks to build up the stadium and 1 week to bring it down.
That is unbelievable.
No, for us it's so important. We have customers who spend a lot of money 1 year in advance. In every training session, we are in their head. The stadium is in their head,
Right.
you know. And then we just want to exceed their expectations and want to make it huge and want to have a great platform for the sport. And a great platform for the sport needs a great stadium.
So during COVID, there was a lot of things happening. People were like, I signed up for these races. I want my money back and things like that. And I think that's when you really started talking right to the consumer.
Absolutely.
And it was so well received because you were basically saying, I am you.
Yeah.
I am the age group triathlete. And I agree. If your option is, do you want your money back? Here it is.
Absolutely.
And if you want to stay in with us for next year, that's fine.
Well, it was amazing. We decided we have to give the money back. It doesn't matter how hurtful financially it is going to be for the company. And we didn't know if we would survive.
Right.
And then what happened, athlete called us and said, hey, we would like to leave a part of our entry fee with you because we need you to survive. We want this race to continue. And then we said, okay, we can't just accept those donations without giving something back. And then we said, okay, guys, if you leave a part of the money as a donation and we are 10 full-time employed here, we will give you the right that you can choose within the next years that you have a pre-registration possibility. And as I said, 30,000 people try, so it's very hard to get a slot.
Right.
And people were so generous. Makes me really emotional. Because they brought us through.
They believe in you.
They brought us through the really hard times. You know, our community brought us through these times. This is also why we have the obligation to get better every year.
Yes.
You know, to take their input. And this is such a bonding that happened. And now those generous people from all over the world, you know, they're coming back. They still have their race, and it makes me really, really happy.
When you stand by this finish line, because obviously you have the pros, they've done this a lot of times. They're not jumping up and down going, okay, I finished an iron, a challenge Roth.
Yeah.
But when you stand by this finish line for those later finishers who are doing something they've never done before, never knew they could do it, is that feeling the same for you now than it was 30 years ago?
When I said with all the work and the challenge family and the hardships there, I had the feeling that I lose my passion.
Yes.
This was also one of the reasons I wanted to have my passion back, and it's there. It's there. And I always stand in front of the gateway into the stadium and high five everyone, and to look in those faces, to see how proud they are, how emotional they are, how angry they are because they didn't make their personal best. You know.
Yes.
Those emotions are so real, and
yes.
I think only our sport can deliver this. And this is.
That's why our sport is so great.
Yeah, this is for me the recharging of my batteries.
Yes.
So I discharge my batteries until a race day, and then race day gives us this enormous amount of energy to continue then until next year.
If the age groupers hadn't stepped up and left their money in, would you still be around?
What we also didn't think, Bob, what happened, because in the sponsorship agreements we don't have a case like this.
Right.
That worldwide pandemic comes and then the sponsors will still pay a part. We didn't have this clause, but also sponsors stepped up. And it went so far that sponsors said, hey, we'll pay half of it. We need you. We want you. Other sponsors came and said, if you need credits, don't go to the bank. We have a great bank sponsor that also contacted us and said, hey, we will help you out. But also sponsors came and said, hey, don't lend money, we will help you. And that's Roth. It's just unbelievable.
The community is really special.
Yeah, it's real.
It's so real. Well, you're real. and your passion is real, and your love for the sport and growing the sport is all you've ever done. Thank you for everything you do for the sport.
Thanks, Paul.
Felix Walchshofer has been our guest. Definitely check out live stream all day long, right, on Sunday.
www.challenge-roth.de. You'll find everything where you can follow the athletes. We have the international live stream with Belinda and Jan. We have a ticker service. We have 360-degree cameras that you can have a look here from the stadium. So tune in.
All right, again, Breakfast with Bob from beautiful Challenge Roth. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. See ya.